Hey everyone, Howard Blues, aka Chris, aka Howard Blues. It's been a week. It has been a week, and it's been all night too. Tough one wrangling kids, and so my wife was nice enough, she just got home to give me the night off and allow me to come down to the cave and do some hobbying. And so that's what I'm doing, and I could take and I could make my usual Howard's Cave of Wonder video, and in fact this probably will be the start of one. We'll see where I go with it. But really, I have more bones 6 to inventory. I mean, I'm getting closer. We're down to the odds, the ends, the stuff in the baggies, but that's still quite a bit. I also have on my desk that I was using for all my assembly this whole getup because I took a photo for a thumbnail, so I need to clear that up. There's kind of just a generalized mess here in the cave. Let me show. I had this box come in today, but I've had a couple of other large Kickstarter pledges finally come in, so those need to be organized. All in all, it's just a lot. There's a lot that needs to be done down here, and stuff to kind of clean up and get the cave in order. And so that's what I'm going to work on. I'm actually going to turn on Thursday Night Football. Not because I'm the world's largest football fan, mind you. But ever since I've been a kid, football was a thing to put on in the weekends to just kind of have background noise. And I still, to this day, I find just listening to a game and just having it on, I don't know, it's something about not having to watch every play, don't really care about the teams, just, I don't know, it's noise. But I'm going to do that, and I'm going to work on some stuff. I'm going to work on clearing some shelves. You see, at one point, these shelves, these gray shelves here, used to be all dedicated to my miniatures and holding kind of all of the miniature stuff that came in. And then over on the other side of the cave, these wire racks held all of the board games. A couple of years ago, I decided to flop them a little bit because the gray shelves hold a lot more games, and so I've kind of made these shelves here more of the game shelves. And I've still had a few things that have traipsed in and kind of filled in the racks, and I mean, and it's not a lot, but it quickly then divulges and it gets a little messy. But I still have a few shelves left that just kind of have loose miniatures on and taking up space. So I'm going to try to find a perfect place to maybe house or store some of these things, clear some things up, and maybe get some room so that I can place those Kickstarter boxes on these shelves, and overall get some more room. So that's the plan, and I'm telling you all of this because I figure you're gonna be along for the ride. I'll probably set up, take some time lapses throughout. We'll see, but otherwise, good turn on the game. Gonna crack a beer. Then I'll figure out where I'm gonna start. So, mostly I was expecting just to do a lot of time lapses. And truthfully, I thought I knew what was in this box that showed up today. But I didn't. And it's a big thing. It's a special thing. It's a thing that I took and supported a while ago. And I'm going to reveal it here because I know my buddy Kidder isn't going to check this out before it goes, but so that's here. It feels good getting some work done in the cave and getting it cleaned up. Not that it was a huge mess. Well, okay. It's still kind of a huge mess, but it feels good to do that. And that's good. When I find myself stressed, the hobbying helps. And getting all of this stuff kind of situated a little bit, getting some stuff put away, all good things. Cleaned up the area around my desk, have a little bit more momentum, picked up all the little baggies, and found homes for a lot of this stuff. Now, I didn't do all of the organizing I had planned to do or wanted to do, but that's just the way it goes. And I do stuff when I have the time. Hobbying for me it's a respite. And especially this year, it's kind of funny, actually. The whole channel started as a second series on a different channel on the Triple B. And I found myself having a hard time making this content. The show, the Triple B, they kept growing and growing in length, and that took away time to edit. I found myself spending more and more time working on keeping the show running in a lot of cases. And that's due to a lot of things. Something I can't talk about. Issues that belong to others, and therefore not worth my sharing. And so, Howard's Game of Wonder kind of stopped because what little free time I had, if I had time to paint or hobby or do anything, well, that time got sucked up into something else. And when I did have the time to think, gosh, I still also got to film this for Howard's Game of Wonder, it made stuff difficult. Fast forward to where we are now, and since August, life has kind of been stressful. My wife and I discovered we were about to, we're pregnant with our third child. That's a lot of stress. My mother-in-law, who was our childcare provider, was diagnosed with lymphoma. That added on some stress as we've searched for childcare and trying to make sure that our little miss had somewhere to go and someone to take care of her. Throw on that a very complicated work schedule and trying to keep up with the Triple B, and yeah. I mean, I'm a pretty dedicated guy. Get up, make my coffee, wake my son up, get him dressed, fed, ready to go off to school. Then my daughter gets up, get her butt changed, either wake up my wife so that she can take over caring, or wait for my mom, who has been thankfully filling in to take over, or getting them both kids ready so that I can deliver Little Miss to some family friend who's watching her. Go to drop my kid off at school, work, pick them up, come home, make dinner, be the sole entertainment. Or if my wife is there, maybe she's got dinner made, but I'm still pitching in, helping, because I'm one of those dads. I try and do as much stuff as I can with my kids. Then once they're in bed, then I get some time to sleep. Well, not sleep. I get some time, but trying to keep the wife happy. She's very understanding, but she wants time too. And I'm not going to lie, this pregnancy has been rough. So I've had to step up and do more things, get the dishes done, go get shopping runs, laundry even, which is a big thing. I've kind of been the one keeping the house afloat. And that's fine. But it pushed me to a limit. And eventually we had a thing where I quit the Triple B. Like an episode. It was just too much. And I'm now back, and that's fine. That's water under the bridge. But at the same time, as that was happening, we had switched the format of how we were doing it. We record every other week. We record 2 shows. And that left me a Friday open. And I decided to make use of that Friday to do some hobbying. And therefore, use that as time to film Howard's Cave of Wonder. I've changed how I'm doing it, and that's okay. I don't necessarily record all of it at the same time. In fact, you might notice as it's cut back, I mean, same hoodie, different shirt, headphones. Just because it's actually Friday night, podcast night. My coworker just got called in to help with something at work, and nobody else was joining us on the call. So it's just me. And I decided, well, heck, let's do a little Howard's Cave of Wonder. Get a little stuff filmed and in the can. So that's what I'm doing. Making use of the time. And that's kind of how it happens. When I film stuff for Howard's Cave of Winter, it's over multiple nights. Usually I come down, put on the Thursday night football game, and that's where I do a lot of the secondary stuff that you see when I have piles of boxes and some of that B-roll footage. That's on a Thursday. It's before, because I already got an idea what I'm going to do. So I try and do some of that. So it's finding that time and then kind of over the course of a couple of nights filming enough stuff. But the other part of what I've been trying to do is be more blog-like. I had to laugh. The last video I actually put up for the Triple B of the old channel was actually about Burnout. Funny thing was that video was a year old. I was like 95% done with it. Actually, probably closer to 98%. I had like 1 or 2 shots that I wanted to add of a time lapse I did. And it took me a year just to get those 2 clips, put it in, render, and put it up. It was all about Burnout and about how I was so burned out that's why I hadn't been making Howard's Cave of Wonder. And it took a year for that video to come out. So it's all part of it, dealing with burnout and such. Now, in my current setup, because I'm set up for podcasting and not for unboxing Bone 6, I'm not going to do that. I'm not even set up to have a paint cam. But maybe I'll do some time lapse and have some other things to talk about. Besides stress and burnout and why I do the things I do. But needless to say, my hobby is my zen. I hope that you find that your hobbies can be your zen. So I got that recorded here now. I'm going to do something. I'll record it. You'll see it. And I'll probably jump to next week when I actually record more of the actual show. So now, so you might notice change of clothes, different night. But it's time to do some hobbying and such. And I got a project that I'm going to start on kind of for the Christmassy season. But before I get to that, and what's in here and some of that, I got something in the mail, and I thought I would open it up. Let's find out what's in. So, have a box. I'm going to use a knife. Cut it open. Choose amount of bubble wrap. And it is a Warmachine box. I'm pretty sure I know what this is. I've been a long subscriber of Minicrate. Yep. That's what this is. It's the Minicrate model. Part of it is because I've always liked the guys over at Privateer Press and the Minicrate models. They're fun. And as somebody who doesn't play Warmachine and Hordes
That's fine. But since it's become the property of Steam-forged games, it's been a little bit different. So what do we got here? One thing I will say that I do miss, you don't get the card. So it used to be that when you got a Minicrate model, you got cards, and it would show you kind of the full concept art and then have some info on the back. And that was nice because it was just kind of a cool little addition, but I know that comes with a cost. But it made things a little bit easier. This guy, that's a pretty cool kind of Halloween model. It's a very steampunkiny pumpkin, which would make sense with the adjective pumpkiny model. I will say, just looking at it, I'm going to have a terrible time. This is a 3D printed model, which cool. But you can see, just even looking at here, there's a lot of spindly bits from all of the supports. And so knowing what is a purposeful spindly bit and what is a support, I'm going to have to really look at stuff before I trim it away. But it's it's very cool, and I think it'll fit into my my Halloween figure collection very well. So that arrived. I've been a huge supporter since the beginning of Minicrate. I've only missed 2, and truthfully, the 2 that I missed was it was a weird kind of situation. Private Press sent out a thing that basically said your card had expired, and then they sent out a thing that said, it's not expired. Just so happened, though, it was at about the time that my card expired. Go figure. And so I missed renewing, and then they transitioned over to Steam-forged games, and so I missed 2 mods. I'm not bitter. Okay, not much. So that's it. But not the project tonight, although I might work in some other things with this. I got inspired by a model I saw, and I said I'd collect Halloween miniatures. Eventually, I will build my wife a little Halloween village that she can decorate with, but she also wants a Christmassy one, and it's kind of our little exchange. She gets to have a little village. I get to paint the figures that go in it, and so there's a couple of companies that I get figures from. The biggest one, Reaper Miniatures. They have cool things like this gingerbread knight. Complete with a candy cane that has been sharpened down to a point. That'll be a fun little paint. There's also good old... Come on. I know it's kind of ugly, but you can do it. It's Santa Goblin. But if we're going to talk about goblins and Santa Claus, there is one that now takes the cake, and that is the Red Gobbo. That's right, from Games Workshop, one of their commemorative series. It is the Red Gobbo. And I'd seen things with the Red Gobbo, but I wasn't really buying Warhammer at the time. But this one, it is their abominable snowman, and it is this really kind of cool red goblin chucking a snowball that has a grenade in it with a snowman behind him that you can actually take the head off of, and it's got a little bomb hidden underneath. It's just cool. It's got character. It's everything I like in a miniature. And truthfully, I like this and was inspired by it so much. I went out and I found a past Red Gobbo model, the Red Gobbo's Surprise. And it is not a Red Gobbo, but close enough. It is the Gloomspite Gitz Grotmas Gitz. So I picked up these just because they're fun. I didn't go... I looked at other Red Gobbos. but the other two, there's one with the Red Gobbo on a squig, and another with the Red Gobbo holding up kind of this sad tree. Each of those, like, you can find them out there on eBay for like anywhere from $100 to $250. That's a lot for a Gobbo miniature. Anyway, I use some hobby time at work because I do hobby at work. I don't tend to eat lunch, so I hobby. I've been working on painting a miniature from Reaper Miniatures. It's this Duck Knight that I've converted to be a guard of a Zen garden for a friend. Pictures being shown as we speak. But I decided to actually do a little bit of building so that I could do this video. And so here we have our Gloomspite Gitz on squig, all nicely done. And then I forgot to glue them onto the base before I left, but our Red Gobbo surprise. There are people who are going to be absolutely terrified that I used just a simple index box with no padding to transport miniatures I've assembled from work to here. Haven't had one break yet. Living risky over here. Anyway, so I got those done, and I'm going to sit here and assemble the Red Gobbo. Let's pull this out. And we'll kind of chat as I go. Box over. Here is the sprue. Looks good. And yeah, when I say like that GW makes some of the best models, especially when they really want to, look at this base. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we can't get it to focus. There are footprints on here. Not just like one or two, like here's where he stood, but like clearly the Red Gobbo has been walking around the snowman building it. It's just a nice level of detail that I can appreciate. Yeah, so let's through. Let's open our instructions. I guess I should just say, in case you're curious, what other tools I am using in this project. I have myself a lovely pair of clippers, detail clippers I got from Cobalt Keep. I've been loving these things. A simple X-Acto knife, blade pretty sharp. It's not as sharp as the blade on this X-Acto knife, but that can cause problems. So we'll just leave that one be for the time being. I have a couple of sanding sticks here and Gorilla Glue Super Glue. I know you're supposed to use Tamina's plastic glue that kind of melts everything. I don't have any of that, and so I will be using this, which means I will probably eventually have to get out the old Neatite to do a little bit of gap filling. I get it. I don't have the right tool. I got what I got. I was surprised at how many steps are in this kit, truthfully. Oh, like butter. Oh, I do not have a Cobalt Keep pair of pliers or snips at work. I just have a simple snips. Oh, such a difference. Such a difference. Get that all snipped out. So usually when I assemble things like this, and this really isn't a, here's how you do it. Here's just how I do it. Take it what you will. I usually look at the step. So, and one thing, it always gets me on these GW ones. You have these call-out boxes like this, that basically it's to tell you, do this step first, and then this. But I always fall for it. I always like flip this out, and I start looking at this, and I'm like, oh, but wait, I'm supposed to do this part first. So, okay. So I need 3 and 2. I mean, it's not a huge deal. I will survive, but it's just it it gets me almost every time, and I just always am like, because I try to clip out stuff because I am kind of clumsy. And so I prefer to try and keep it to as few pieces and keep as many pieces on the sprue as possible. So usually, I like to clip out the parts I need for that step. And I know there's a fourth part here, but I'm going to do this first. As I said, start the smallest. And since the legs need to be glued, I'm going to need some time. Usually I start with where I clipped the sprue. If I can, I just try and get it with a sanding stick. In this case, it's the bottom of his foot. Do I need it perfectly smooth? Nah. Are you ever going to look at the bottom of his foot? Not this one. Other one, yes. Not this one. Apparently working. This one just kind of glues into place, but I, like to cut down on how much it interacts. And then I try to look for, are there terrible mold lines? And especially when they're on a nice flat surface, I tend to go with just using an X-Acto knife and just kind of scraping at them. Sometimes I will use the sanding stick, especially if I don't feel like I can get a good I can't get a good in with my X-Acto blade. So depending on just kind of what I'm doing, I'll switch out my tools, what I think I need. And I know I'm scraping little tiny legs. It doesn't show up well on camera. One thing I've been trying to research, as I always kind of talk hobby stuff, I have been trying to figure out a good camera that'll let me do macro and pull this off. Because my Osmo camera, the face cam, it's a great camera. Terrific camera. Love this camera. But it is very much so a it doesn't have a zoom feature. It is a single focal length camera. It's really cool. It's got some great features. It tracks. If you've ever wondered how my camera follows, and of course my tracking is off because I've moved. Let's fix that. Okay. So now I have face tracking on. So now if I move, the camera moves for me. So I keep the silky, smooth gliding. It's a wonderful little 4K camera on a gimbal. It's great. And it works great for the face cam, as long as I don't move too far out of its range. But as for my close-up cam and that, I'm just using a Logitech webcam because it's what I have for my podcasting stuff. And I'd like to figure out a setup. I know so many of the major streamers use, nice DSLR cameras with monitors and all of that. And I'd like to get there someday to doing that. But I don't know that I'm quite ready for that. I'd like to build this channel up a little bit more first. Okay. Just those. Now, before I do the mold lines on the main body here, this is where I tend to like to break out the glue, because I'd like these legs that I got to glue together first to start to dry before I do the next part. So with a lot of them pieces, I will try. This isn't going to look great on camera because, again, fiddly bits. Here's your chance to watch me drop something again and again. I try to do a little bit of figuring out beforehand, figure out how these pieces are supposed to go together. Dry fitting, you could call it. Sometimes I don't always do that, because I have found models where you push them together to dry fit them, and you can't get them apart. And it's like, well, those live together now. If I can't get them apart just by my fingers and trying to pull, they're good. You're secure. Oh, bending legs. I once saw famous Predator Press, now of Atomic Mass Games. He's their artistic director, like Dallas Kemp. I loved his video tutorials. I haven't been able to check them out in a long time. I watched an assembly video that he did for Marvel Crisis Protocol, where he used like a pencil on, just I grabbed his sanding stick with blue tack to hold the little pieces together while he attached them. I thought it was genius. I tried it once. I got super glue on blue tack. It was a nightmare. In fact, my Valkyrie figure for Atomic Mass Games has some fun issues because of that. Because of my failure on that. So every technique you try, you're gonna run into problems. That's just part of the game, I have found. And I am the living embodiment of Charlie Brown. It says so on the Band-Aid on my finger. And I know I'm gonna have things that I just, as much as I try to be a good hobby professional and do my best, I make mistakes. I may have things that I don't do quite maybe as well as I'd like to do, or I'm just clumsy and I glue my fingers to a model, or I accidentally get paint where I didn't want paint, or in fact, I talked about the model I did for a gift kind of on my lunch break, the painting one. I went to sign that today. Actually, I went to sign it yesterday, and the silver Sharpie I had ran out of the metallic part. So that didn't work. And so I got a new silver Sharpie, and I tried my hardest to just focus and write nice and clearly. I was just signing it, and putting a year on it, just under the base, something that most people won't see. And get to writing the year, got a little ahead of myself, got 20, got the other 20, got to the 4. Good luck reading that. It looks like 2020U. I did not take a photo of it. Maybe future Howard thinks about it before I give it away. I will snap a photo and throw it in here. One thing I've never been a fan of with GW, I like when they build in like pegs and cuts to help kind of you align up a model, but so far on this Red Gobbo, I've done 2 of these now where it's like, put glue, align these edges. Good luck getting it perfect. So I'm terrible at that. Again, living embodiment Charlie Brown, clumsy. So just trying my best. Do a little hold. This would be where, in a normal hobby video, if I had a sponsor, I'd say, and now, an ad for so-and-so. I don't have sponsors. So assembling miniatures has always kind of been one of my least favorite tasks. Historically, it's actually really been the thing I've hated to do the most, is kind of the assembly and scraping up mold lines and all of that stuff. And I think part of the reason why that is, it's going to be it's the tedium. I how much you have to do with it. But I will say, in recent months, and almost actually, not quite for a year, but for the better part of a year, I've been on an assembly kick, like just crazy. And I think part of it has been, there's a lot been going on in life, and with that, I sometimes find it hard to find the motivation to paint, if I'm being honest. Painting is my hobby, it is my outlet, it is the thing that brings me zen and joy in life and all of that. And when I don't get to do that hobby, I struggle mentally. But I also have a hard time getting started sometimes. Maybe you have the same problem. I look at a project and I look at all the things I need to do on it. For instance, where are we? I showed her card earlier. This is the Swamp Siren, one of the first Minicrate VIP miniatures. And if I show it over here, I have started. I know it looks mostly like it's just primed. But there is a very slight, come on, stick with me, coloration on the tentacles, there's at least a base coat on her skin. There's been some work done. It's hard to see, it's very subtle. You can kind of pick out the highlighting on the gray down here. That's not just the light, there's some paint. It's just not a lot to it. But I know that I can do a really nice smooth purple fade on this. But I know that it's a process and it takes a lot of steps. And that sometimes when I look at that and knowing all the steps I need to do on a model, that just, I look at then how much time I have to actually hobby and I go, I can't do that right now. I don't physically have it in me to start this, or I'll get partially going and I don't want to stop. And so I find it really hard to sometimes get momentum going in these things. I'll look for my next pieces here. And so that became a thing. Well, one of the things I found recently is that I could do assembly and not have quite that same hang up. If I didn't finish, it was okay for me to leave a model because it wasn't like I was going to have to try and mix paint and remember where I was with a step. I had the instructions. I knew exactly where I left off. And so that in itself made it an easy thing to do. And really, my hobby time is how I handle stress. This is the most zenful thing I do. The hardest thing for me is to come up with things to talk about, because I've been doing these videos and trying to kind of hobby at the same time. Because it would be really easy for me to put on something on the TV that's over behind me and just work. And just be okay with, listening to something, a football game, a YouTube video, and just quietly working and getting done what I could. And that'd be fine. But when I lock into that mode, I can sit here for hours. And I mean literal hours. I once, as part of I once took a couple days off. One of my favorite things to watch, or used to watch, was a channel called Achievement Hunter, which was about guys playing video games. But they reminded me a lot of gaming with my friends, and were kind of a great fill-in for, as me and my friends have all become adults, and we don't get to game that often. It was kind of a great substitution. Anyway, 1 year for the charity Extra Life, and for a couple of years they did it. They would do an all-day stream, a 24-hour stream with different kind of acts and groups coming in. And I decided 1 year, when I was living away from my wife and So therefore, did not have any weekend responsibilities. That, it would be fun to just hobby along. Could I hobby for the 24 hours that they did it? So I stocked up on food so that I, had things kind of ready, could do quick, easy meals. So I'd use as little time as possible away. And I knew what time they started. So I rested and slept until close to that. And then got up. And as they started, I started. And the hobby marathon was on. And I got to see just how far I could go and how long I could go. The answer was I made it, I think, about like 18 or 19 hours. I fell apart and needed to fall asleep. I forget what the act was. But one of the segments was not good. It just was not the kind of thing that's like, this is going to keep me awake. I see where I'm having some problem. I have a little bit of a sprue that is just causing all the problems. And so I made it up until that point, and then made the mistake, the awful mistake of I sat down, not in my chair. I sat down on my bed to I see how that goes. Just stretch out, because I've been sitting in an office chair, much like I am right now, and asleep. Oh my gosh, I had this. Usually once I figure out how a piece is supposed to lock in, I don't have problems reduplicating that. Like, I can usually go, okay, this is how it works. And then, there we go. Okay, like that. Take it apart, put the glue on. Ugh, but I'm trying to talk at the same time. Hobbying and talking at the same time does not always go great together. I will share this story. I think it'll have already happened, and my audience doesn't quite cross over between podcasts. So I do a weekly podcast with my buddy Kidder and some other friends of ours who have started off as guests. They're practically hosts now. And with so many people on it and so many personalities and so little hobby time, as much as podcasting is also a hobby, I often try to sneak in some hobby work. So we were recording our Thanksgiving kind of recap episode, and I was opening miniatures and assembling some. So I have some things here. I'll use it as a chance to plug something else here in a sec. But I had this dire turducken model from Reaper Miniatures that I got. It is great. It's got a rooster, a duck, and a turkey head. It's like a chimera turkey. It's awesome. Dire turducken. I was like, I'm going to assemble this thing and reveal it on the podcast. Well, it had kind of in here a bunch of supports. It's a 3D printed model. A bunch of supports kind of between the breast and the ground. And I was rapidly trying to cut it apart so I could have it as clear as I could. And then just have to glue the wings on, and it would all be good. And in doing so, my very sharp knife, I caught the tip of my finger, began to bleed quickly. I thought it was a small cut, so I tried the old World War II trick of quickly applying super glue to glue it together. That didn't work. It was too big of a cut, too deep of a cut. I quickly grabbed my paper towel that I keep on my desk for when I paint, for drying brushes and when I clean them and all that. And I quickly put that on, not thinking in the panic about the fact that I had applied super glue to my finger. So I then super glued a paper towel onto a cut. It was the greatest thing. And all of this while podcasting. because I'm the living embodiment of Charlie Brown, and it's hard to podcast and hobby at the same time. And so it's sometimes hard to do, I find, to do this where it's like, okay, I'm going to talk to you guys and try and tell you what I'm doing, or share a thought or a story from my week, and at the same time try to deal with fiddly little bits. And I could stop talking and just have a moment of silence and let that background music play that I usually attach to an episode, but I also want to try and keep it a little lively. Okay, I think I see how this thing goes. It's not the greatest of fits. Sometimes I also find, I don't want to say pro tip because I'm not a pro. Sometimes I find that when trying to make stuff like this work, sometimes if you change your angle. So I went from trying to connect this on the front and struggling to moving to the side, like I'm holding it now. And as soon as I did that, the piece clicked in my mind and in my fingers. Again, sometimes it's just a different perspective. Hopefully that helps. If you found that helpful, let me know. Leave a comment. You know, any kind of comment. And if you ever glued your fingers to a model, I have. Have you ever cut yourself with an X-Acto knife? Yep. Have you ever then proceeded to super glue a paper towel to your finger that you cut with that X-Acto knife? I bet I'm sitting alone on that one. Gobbo's coat. Looking good. Looking good. Making progress. Making progress. How am I doing on time? 9:30. I got 37 minutes to try and while I let that sit, and before I start the next part, I wanted to share this because I think it's cool. I think it's important. If you've been watching this channel at all, you know that my favorite miniature company is Reaper Miniatures. I absolutely love these guys, and I love them for a lot of reasons. I love their models. I love the personalities behind them and such. But one of the best things that I love is their hearts. They recently worked with one of their regular sculptors, Jason Wiebe, to create this. This is Koga Mossback, the Spike Shell Druid. And it's a cool model, but they made this to be for hurricane relief. So I'll hold it up a little bit closer so you can see the detail. Everything from the fat fish that's in the crook to all of the lovely mushrooms on the back. And if I turn him around, it's hard to see because he's all in gray plastic, but there's a whole lot of like flowers and such sculpted in there. He's just a gorgeous model. And Reaper has it that if you go on their site and you purchase this, the profits from it go, as I said, to hurricane relief for both Milton and Helene. And so because there's 2 hurricanes, I bought 2, and I'm looking forward to painting him soon. So he's on my desk. And also so I can promote that, because that's just awesome. And it's part of why I love Reaper Miniatures, is just the heart that they have to think of other people in a time like that. So also at the time of me recording this, which by the time this comes out, I believe it's too late, they will have just finished up their 12 days of Reaper Christmas. So which I did go pretty heavy in on. Let's see, I need 7, I need 8. I do every year. It's part of, again, collecting their winter figures and such. Which I hope to do some painting on those, because again, I'd like to get my wife a few more of those painted up for her own displaying purposes. Hopefully you all have a wonderful holiday season and such. I know I'm looking forward to some time with my kids, who are getting more and more into this whole painting thing. My son has been slowly trying to claim all the miniatures in my collection. He wants to paint them, so he's definitely got the painting gene from me, and so just make sure that. So I foresee many problems in my future as a junior, and I compete over painting the same things. I actually, as part of the Reaper 12 Days of Christmas, because I need to spend so much to get some of the figures, I allowed him to choose out some models of his own that he wanted to paint. So, and I also then allowed my daughter, because she was excited. She, of course, just wanted unicorns. So I picked up 2 unicorns for her, along with a couple other things that I thought she might enjoy. All right. We got a hand and we got a weapon to put on here. Let's say, usually at work, when I assemble these things, I can assemble one in about 20 to 30 minutes. If I'm trying to do best I can. Is that how his order goes? About 20 to 30 minutes is what it takes me to really make something like this work. And it's, again, it depends just on the day and how productive I'm feeling. I'm never in a rush about it. I just kind of go and paint as or paint or assemble as I see fit, and just try and get done. You go in there. But how? Oh, you're a holster. That's what you are. Okay. As she goes. I was just about to say, usually I don't tend to, I commit to the gamer sin of not drawing out my gun barrels. Why? I don't know. It's a level of detail. I don't know. I've just never taken the time to do so. But being that this is a proper GW model, that's too big. It's got to be too big. Let's give it a try. Oh yeah, that's way too big. Way too big. Let's give it a try. Said, don't usually do it. First time for everything. Last time for everything. I will say, I have found when I use a pin vise on things for like pinning and such, I use my X-Acto blade just to kind of roughly mark the area. A bit off center, but I also think I can use a slightly bigger bit than that. So let's see if we can recover. This is the main reason why I don't always like pinning when I don't always like trying to drill gun barrels. Is, again, William Buddyman and Charlie Brown. She not be perfect. She not be pretty. But she be something. So I'll be honest. I went quiet because I, in that last little bit where I was trying to just widen it, I just clipped off the rim of the barrel. I also caught my finger with the blade. You may have seen me jump or flinch. So looks like, though, at least the part that I cut off is luckily pointed towards the inner part of the model, his coat. The rest still sticks out. So, while I may have damaged my model, it's not like I was going for a golden demon. I can maybe live with that. It's going to be a hard thing for anybody to really see. But that's part of the hobby. That's what I get for trying to do something bold and adventurous and that I didn't like doing in the first place. Well, you don't get any better if you don't ever try. So I didn't make this channel to say, look at how perfect I am. Nope. Welcome to mistakes. If you're tuning into the Howard's Cave of Wonder, you are tuning into a channel where a guy tries his best. And at times, makes mistakes. And, if we can find a way to live and thrive and get past our mistakes, we become a better hobbyist. So, for everybody else out there, enjoy my suffering, enjoy my misery, enjoy my that. Anyway, let's get back to trying to finish this gobbo. The head and the hat. That's where it's at. Truthfully, I think once I get past the gobbo himself, I think this will speed up. So there's a big game up on Gamefound at the time that I'm recording this. And it might be over, although you probably can get it on the late pledge, but the next campaign for Cthulhu Death May Die from CMON is up. Now, this is a game I didn't get in on. I decided when it came out that I had enough CMON stuff, and as a game, I don't know, it didn't grab me. Also, I think I had plenty of Cthulhu Lovecraftian games that I didn't feel like, everything from Arkham, the card game, to Unspeakable Words, which is a word game based around Cthulhu. I just kind of had enough. Eldritch Horror is another one. Elder Sign. I have enough Cthulhu. I could not see a need or a desire for one more Cthulhu game. It did have an impressive miniature of Cthulhu. The thing is huge. But I looked at it. The last time it was on Kickstarter, I looked at it again and even looked at it like, do I get in on this thing? Because the reviews came in, it was a fantastic game. So I thought about it. I looked at it, and again, I decided to pass. And the third one's out, and I looked at it. And probably the only reason I looked at it is this time they're doing a thing where you can get Godzilla. And it's cool. It's huge. It rivals. There's a couple different things. If you were a previous backer, you can get it as you can get a free sculpt as a gift. I wasn't a backer, so that's out. But they have two different little sculpts of Godzilla, and then they have a huge Cthulhu-sized one. If you want that, it's $210. $210. I get that it's huge, but that is a lot. Basically for a small plastic statue. And And so I was out, although I did kind of look because I was kind of like, well, maybe I can at least buy the add-ons. I would, I'd like a Godzilla. That'd be fun to paint. And they have it on there that you cannot just purchase the add-ons. You have to go in for a purchase of at least $100 to get it. And I don't need to buy the game. I just don't. So I'm passing on that one. I will spend my hobby money elsewhere. As cool of a game as it is, and looks like, I will pass. I will have to get my Godzilla love elsewhere. Okay. What's that? Red Gobbo is done. Check. Next, we're on to the snowman. He's got all of just a couple of pieces. So snowman should go pretty quick here. Trim off the back of the head. Take out the front of the head. I mean, he's really 4 pieces. And looking at my speed, I probably won't get to do green stuffing, at least not tonight. If I do come down tomorrow night and do some work on it, I might do it just as a quick time lapse, just to speed things up. And actually, maybe I should just time lapse this bit and come back and show it to you all done. So, time lapse. Sorry to do another quick time lapse on you, but I figured that was the best way to get this lovely model all done and complete. Now, you might say, Howard, you made a grave mistake, my boy, because I glued this in, which means that some parts of this are going to be really, really hard to paint. Yes, I know. I'm up for the challenge, but overall, fun kit. I enjoyed it. It's interesting. I'm gonna have to get used to the fact that the snowman's head comes off. I mean, it's a cool feature on that, but it doesn't really sit on there. Like, I wish it would sit just a little bit better, but it is what it is. So, cool model. That's 3 Gobbos. Kind of ready for a little bit of green stuffing and a little bit of priming, and I'm going to do that quick, and then we'll see how long this video is, and if we get around to painting them, and if not, next Robert's Game of Wonder, we paint the Gobbos. So yeah, so we'll see if we come back. If I don't come back, because I could also see me just putting that as part of next week's episode, or next time's episode. So if that is the case, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, hanging out, chatting as I've worked through this project. And Yeah, it's always great to have people joining in. Hopefully you're having fun with your own hobby, and hopefully with the holidays coming up, you have some time to do some hobbying yourself. And again, thank you if you made it this far and checked it out. Really appreciate it. And we will catch you all down here in the cave again next time. Night, everybody.